Not yet.
Yeah.
I'm there. Good evening. This is Doves for Peace. My name is Bee Smith, and I'm here with Tony Cookson. And welcome to our home, which we call Chotnaco Ashlina. In Irish, that means the House of Shared Vision. And Tony and I have lived here for the past 13 years. We live in the first village on the River Shannon. And tonight, I'm going to light the candle, which is traditional for Doves for Peace. And then I'm going to take a leaf from Sam Beckett. Now, Samuel Beckett says that all poetry is prayer. So we'll start with a poem. So, lighting up. There we are. And this is one of my own poems, and it's called Tending the Flame. Bridie, be my kindling. Bridie, be my flint. Bridie, be my first spark. Let the kindling catch, let the flame be bright. Let me watch it jump high enough to last until first light. Bridie of the turf heap, bridie of the coppiced ash, bridie, now burn the willow mass. Let the spark burn hot, let the flame leap high, let the spirit be filled with joy, opening out into the wide. Bridie, be beside this hearth, bridie, burn the candle's wick, bridie, a light in my heart. So, who's this Bridie I'm talking about? Bridie is Brighid of Ireland. She was the Abbess of Kildare, who was active in 6th century Ireland. But before that, she was the goddess Brighid. And interestingly enough, the goddess Brighid was the matron of poetry, healing, and smithcraft. And the Abbess of Kildare, when she became a saint, also is the matron saint or patron saint of poetry, smithcraft, and healing. So tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about Brighid of Ireland as the divine feminine. And I'll tell you a little bit about Brighid of Fahrt, who was the one who became the Abbess of Kildare. Now, she is said to have been the daughter of a slave woman and a noble or druid father. Slavery in ancient Ireland was very common. St. Patrick was said to have been a slave as well. And Brigid's mother was Christian and the father was pagan. So you begin at the very, Brigid is from the very beginning of two worlds. And she is the embodiment of two cultures. And it's not surprising that she has become the patron saint for peace and reconciliation in modern days. So then, Brighid eventually is said to have won her mother's freedom and hers, but along the way there were lots of various hiccups. Apart from being of the two worlds, she also rules what they call liminal spaces. Liminal spaces are those thin places, those in-between places, those threshold places. And, symbolically speaking, it is said that her mother was a dairy maid, and Brighid is said to have been born at dawn, and her mother was caught in a labor pain. when she was in the dairy, and as she was going out, she was caught with such a fierce pain of labour she had to push, that she dropped her buckets of milk and then held on to the door lintel, and Bridget O'Fahert slid into the world there on the threshold, and her mother only had the milk to be able to wash her, so she was said to have been washed as a newborn in the milk of the cows. And to this day you'll often see statues of Saint Bridget with cows or sheep. The other legend, which I think is important in terms of seeing her as the embodiment of the divine feminine, is that she is said to have been the midwife for Mary in Bethlehem when Jesus was born. Now, for someone who was born in the 500s in ancient Ireland, in medieval Ireland, you know, she was not going to be in Bethlehem, literally speaking. But that story to me means that Bridget, as the divine feminine, has to be there as the midwife to the divine feminine, or the divine masculine, I should say, the Christ consciousness that is being born into the world. And so what is that divine feminine legacy that was there before Christianity came into Ireland? Matthew Fox, who's often mentioned, I think, in previous podcasts, has likened the land of Ireland to being the body of the goddess. And in goddess spirituality, there is this strong connection with the land and the environment. And I'm going to give you another one of my poems now, which looks at the relationship of the land and the goddess and Ireland. And the poem is called I Am the Body of Ireland. I am the body of Ireland, the holy land of Ireland. My stones speak from the ages. Time runs as the river Shannon, rising and flowing, long and deep. I am the body of Ireland, the holy land of Ireland. I breathed you into being. I washed you, suckled you, warmed you at my heart. I am the body of Ireland, the holy land of Ireland. I am not just a green dream, but your flesh, your grandmother's bones, the blood beating in your breast. I am the body of Ireland, the holy land of Ireland. I am your temple and fervent fire. Justice met at my sacred wells, the peace of your grazing cattle. I am the body of Ireland, the holy land of Ireland. I am your cure, your heart fully whole, your soul wholly free. I'm going to talk a bit more about the sacred flame and the sacred water of Brighid, both the goddess and the saint. But I want to hand over to Tony, who will give us a song.
Well, good evening, people on Doves for Peace, and I'm happy to be back here again on this Saturday night. And thank you, Barbara, for the lovely poetry and the introduction to Brighid. And I'm going to be singing you some songs that I love, and I call them heart songs because they speak to me, they speak to my heart, and I hope when I sing them that you'll share it, they'll touch your heart. So last week I did a song by a guy called Donovan, and he was a singer-songwriter who wrote wonderful songs in the 1960s, 70s, and he wrote a song called Catch the Wind. So I'm going to do that again for people because it's been requested. And then I'm going to do some more songs. Might do a poem. But essentially what we're doing is Barb and I will be presenting, and we'll be doing song and poetry, and maybe if you're up for it, might even do you a story from Irish mythology that I love and that I share in various places. Now, just to say something about myself, I am a writer, a storyteller, a folk singer, and I am becoming a budding public speaker, and I hope that I'm doing okay as a public speaker. I have joined this club in Enniskillen, which is across the border from us, and I am about to do my first talk in a couple of weeks. And the things I'm going to talk about are heart songs, the songs I love. So here's one of them. So in the chilly hours, in the minutes of uncertainty, I wanna be in the warmth of your love and mine. I wanna feel you all around me, trying to take your hand along the sand, but I may as well try and catch the wind, the wind. Oh, well, I may as well try and catch the wind. When the rain has left the leaves with tears, you know I want you near, lifting all my fears, to leave you with all my blues behind. Always standing in your heart, it's where I wanna be, it's where I long to be. But I may as well try and catch the wind, the wind. Well, I may as well try and catch may as well try and catch the wind. When the leaves have left and leave the tears, well, I want you near, fill all my fears, to leave me with all my blues behind. Standing well in your heart, it's where I wanna be. Oh, no long been, but I may as well try and get. Hey, standing in your heart, standing in your heart. Catch the wind, I'll catch the wind in your heart. So that was Donovan's song, Standing in Your Heart, Catch the Wind. So that's a song that invites you to when I sing that song, I often think about it that I'm walking along the beach on Ireland, and I'm walking by the ocean, and the ocean is always a symbol of. Can I just? You're sitting over top of me. I can't do this. So yeah, there's this. Sorry about this. So I'm walking along the beach in Ireland, and you know, I'm walking across near the ocean, and I'm always thinking this is an ocean love song because it reminds me of the ocean of love. Now, let me share you about a little bit more about myself. I'm a storyteller, and I came back to Ireland some years ago, 13 years ago I think, and I didn't know why I was coming back or what I was coming back to do, but it turned out to be that I would do storytelling and singing and writing, and I had been previously doing accountancy, so it was a kind of change, and I never planned to be a storyteller, but I used to play in folk clubs in Leeds in England, and there were some songs that I loved, and I used to tell people the story about these songs. The stories about, there was a song called She Moved Through the Fair. Loved to sing that song, and then I started to think about, well, what does that song mean? And then I'd be carried away in my imagination about the fairy people and the Duahadan and the magic, and I'd tell people all about this, and sometimes it would go on for 15 minutes, and then I'd suddenly realize that actually I was going to sing the song, and now I had told a story, and that was lovely in a sense. So that is what I kind of do now. I kind of tell stories, and Doves for Peace is a great invitation for me, because you know, when you're out playing concerts, people want to hear you sing, and that's what they've come to hear you sing. They don't always want to hear you tell them all about the story, but I have my viewers here, and I just love telling you stories about the songs that I love. So I'm going to sing you another song, and this is a recognizable song, only it's done differently by myself. And this is something I often do too. I take a song and I sing it my own way, and I've got to remember how to sing it. So let me just make sure that I'm singing it. Okay, that sounds the way I want to sing it. So it's a song, it's an Irish song, but it's a song based on a poem, and it's based on a poem by Patrick Kavanagh. Barbara's just cued me that it's Patrick Kavanagh. And Patrick Kavanagh is from Monaghan, which isn't so far from where I live. And this is a song that was done by the Dubliners, and the person who made it very, very famous was Luke Kelly. Luke Kelly was a fabulous singer, and he did a fabulous rendition of this song. So I'm going to do this song. It's called Raglan Road, and it's about something that I'm very familiar with and sing a lot about, and that's unrequited love. And unrequited love is where, for those who don't know what the word unrequited means, it means that you're in love with somebody but they're not in love with you. And I love those kind of songs. I love them. So, and I'm very good at singing them actually, so I'm going to sing this. This is Raglan Road, Tony's version, okay? So it goes, it's a kind of a, how would you say, one of my favourite singer-songwriters is Van Morrison. Van Morrison comes from Northern Ireland, but Van Morrison kind of goes on a bit because he's jazzy and he sings, but he's got soul. So this is a kind of cross between folk song and Van Morrison. On Raglan Road of a November day, I saw her off first and you. Let her dark hair all night weave a snare that I might one day rue. I saw the danger and I walked along the enchanted way, and I said, let grief be a fallen leaf, dawning of the day, of the day. On Grafton Street in November, the sun along the bed of a deep ravine, hey, where can be seen the works of passion's pledge. For the Queen of Hearts, hey, still making tarts, and I'm not making hay. And it's not too much, and by such and such, with happiness away, thrown away, I give her the gifts of the signs, oh, I give her the secret signs, hey, that's known to all the artists, that's gone through time and stone, without a hint and without a stint. I give her poems to say, with her own mane there and her shiny dark hair, themes over streams on a quiet street where all ghosts meet. I see her walking now, away from me so hurriedly. Hey, my reason must allow For I have loved not as I should, oh, a creature made of clay. When the angel would the clay loose his wings at the dawn of the day, he loses wings. 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 At the dawning of the day. At the dawning of the day, you lose your wings. You lose your wings. You lose your wings. You lose your wings. So that's a song, an unrequited love song, and that was based on a poem by Patrick Kavanagh, and it was a poem song that he wrote about meeting with a lovely young woman. She was 17, and I think at the time he was 48, so it wasn't a match made in heaven. So at the end of the verse, you know, she runs away and Patrick loses his wings in the dawning of the day, but later it ended up happily ever after because he married a nice woman who was a nurse. So it does happen. Good for you, Patrick. So what are we going to do now? Okay, I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sing another unrequited love song, and then I'm going to hand you back to Barbara for some more poetry and maybe a bit more about Brighid. Now this is a song that every time I sing it, sometimes people cry. Strange thing. I've done it so often that actually it doesn't surprise me. Somebody breaks down. So get your hankies out, girls. This is an unrequited love song, and it's called what's it called, Barbara?
I don't know which one you're doing.
Peggy Gordon.
Ah.
So it's Peggy Gordon, and Peggy Gordon is a Scottish love song, and it has a special meaning for me in the sense that it reminds me of a lovely young lady. I won't give her name away but her second name was Gordon, so it could be anything Gordon. So remain a mystery, you know. I know who she is. Anyway, so I had an unrequited love affair with her, all in my head. And oh, sorry, your battery is low. Sorry, I've got a signal here. Sorry. So I'm going to sing this unrequited love song, and we have a bit of a technical issue here, something about a battery. You've got to turn it on, but I'm advised now that it's okay. So again, let me say that for those of you who know Peggy Gordon, this is my version of Peggy Gordon, and every time I sing it, people do get ask me to sing it again. So I'm hoping I'm going. Got to remember what it is, because you can tell people you're going to sing a song and then suddenly you can't remember what the lines are, you can't remember what the chords are, but that's it. So this is an unrequited long song called Peggy Gordon. Peggy Gordon, You are my darling. Come sit you down. Hey, upon my knee, and you tell to me, hey, the very reason why, well, I am slighted, oh, so by thee. I wish I was in some lonesome valley where all womankind, hey, cannot be found, where little swing from the branches young. Oh, and every moment, hey, a different sound. I'm so in love, oh, I cannot deny it. Hey, my heart lies broken, oh, within my breast, and it's not for you to tell the world about it, you know. Oh, my heart can know no rest. So I put my hand to a cask of brandy. It was my notion, well, forward to do. When I'm drinking, hey, I'm always thinking that I am wishing my Peggy Gordon was here. Oh, for when I am drinking, I'm always thinking that, well, I am wishing my Peggy Gordon was here. For when I'm drinking, I'm always thinking that, well, I am wishing my Peggy Gordon was here. So that's a Scottish folk song, Peggy Gordon, an unrequited love song, one of my favourite unrequited love songs. And so I'm going to hand you back to Barbara, who was not one of my unrequited love songs. It's been my requited love song for quite a while now. So I'm going to hand you over to her. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with a different guitar, and I'm going to read a poem, and then I'm going to sing you a lullaby, and so that you can go off into the night and have sweet dreams. So let me hand you over now to B, who will share probably a little bit more about Bridget and then one or two of her wonderful poems. So I'll see you later, folks. Bye.
Right, I'm back in the hot seat. Okay. Right, back to Bridget. Tony mentions that he's a storyteller of the Tuatha De Danann, and the Tuatha De Danann were the mythical race who came into Ireland like in the Neolithic time. Okay, so we're talking 2000, 2,500 BC. Okay, and before the Tuatha De Danann, there were the Firbolg and there were the Fomorians, and then after the Tuatha De Danann, there was the Milesians. And Bridget was said to be some versions say she was the daughter of Danu, because Tuatha De Danann means the children of the goddess Danu. And other times there's this sense that I feel that the goddess Danu is so ancient that we're talking about her grandmother. Danu is a goddess who you find pan-European. She gives her name to the River Don in Russia, and there is a River Don in Yorkshire, and she also gives her name to the River Danube, which goes right through Central Europe. So, she is the ancient goddess. And interestingly, she is also a patron of poetry and song and abundance. Abundance is really her big deal. I'm going to read you a poem called The Cure, because Bridget is a patron of healing. I've spoken a bit about her in her sense of being the keeper of the sacred fire, which was always a tradition. There was an eternal flame in Kildare that was kept by the nuns in the Christian era, right up until the time of Henry VIII, and when that monastery was dissolved. And then the tradition of keeping an eternal flame was reignited or revivified in about 1993 or 92 by two Brigidine nuns in Kildare at an AFRI conference. AFRI is an Irish organization for peace and justice. And at the end of this conference, there was this welling up of feeling, and Sister Rita Minahan and Sister Mary relit the flame, and it's kept at the convent in Kildare, which is known as Solas Brida. But there's also the idea of the healing coming from the sacred well. And wells, of course, are liminal spaces, back to that topic of liminality, because they are of two worlds, being underground and above ground. So this poem is called The Cure. And it's based on a holy well, which is about 100 yards down the lane from us in a townland called Tubber. And Tubber means well in Irish. And the poem is called The Cure. The holy wells, stones crumble, mortar loosened by the gnarling ivy. The wellhead is choked, fallen leaves striking dumb the mouth. The water is wholly still, down there, a foot below leaf mold. It can still cure. All around the ivy-covered tree, growing around, in and through the stones, the clooties, the teddy, the broken rosary beads, battered Blessed Mothers, a Powers whiskey bottle, coins, shoelaces, ribbons, hair baubles, all a wish, a word, a prayer. This pain is ancient, ongoing. Even as the stone wall falls, what is broken wants mending. What is hurt wants wishing well. The stones want mortar. The stones that no longer quite fit lie aside, not apart, nor yet apart. The mending has begun, yet there is still this rubble falling out. Bits come apart from this holy well. These stones, so long in the hearing, hurt, petitions, wishes, fears, anxious prayers patterning around stones, witnessing the wish to be well again. This too is a part of the cure. For there is nothing new. This pain is ancient, and yet it reigns still. Leaves swirl down into the well. The stream flows as steady as breath, its flood and sighing, constantly feeding the cure. And I'm going to read one more poem before Tony signs off tonight. And it relates to a tale from Saint Brighid, not the goddess Brighid. And it is said that when Brighid wanted to found her abbey in Kildare, she was looking around for some land. And there is the Curragh. And this is where Ireland's national stud is today. And this was the best land. And so she went to the King of Leinster to ask for him to donate the land. And this was such high quality land. He just thought, where is this woman getting off? And so, she said very cannily and politely and politically, she's saying, but if you would only give me the space that my cloak would cover, I could build my abbey upon it. And so, he could hardly refuse. But this is, he just thought, this woman is crazy. But, you should be kind to fools and crazy people. So he thought, okay, we'll humor her and we'll let her. So she had her henchwomen. She had 4 sisters with her from the new congregation of nuns that she had founded. And one of them took the edge of one cloak, and then another one took another. And so there were 4 of them taking a tip of her cloak, and one began running to the east, one began running to the west, one began running to the south, and one began running to the north. And the cloak began to expand and expand and expand, and it was covering an acre, and it was covering another acre, and it was covering another acre. And then suddenly, in the midst of all of this, the King of Leinster was aghast, speechless, and finally he just said, stop, stop, stop. And so she signaled and said, sisters, and so they stopped. But because he was a high-born man of his word, he had to keep his word to her. And so it was with that donation that Brighid had enough to found her abbey at Kildare, which means the Church of the Oak. And it was there that there were 19 nuns who maintained the eternal flame, which was a hangover from pagan times. 19 women maintained this flame. On the 20th day, the goddess, or after she died, the Abbess Brighid, in spirit, maintained that flame. So the last poem of mine that I'm going to read tonight is called Bridget's Mantle, and it's kind of a lullaby too. And it was inspired by a talk that Dolores Whelan, who is a wonderful woman, who's written an excellent book called Ever Ancient, Ever New. And she pointed out that in the Irish language, the word galore means plenty, and it also means enough. And the poem's title is Bridget's Mantle. Lay me down upon your cloak, swaddle me, sing to me your secrets of always enough. Lay me down upon your cloak, wrap me snug, tell me a story, the miracle of always enough. Lay me down upon your cloak, rock me gently now. Lay me down in the source of always enough. So I'm going to pass you back to Tony now, who will sing you a lullaby. And until we meet again here at Doves of Peace, Bridget's bright, say that. Bridget's bright blessings upon you. Thank you. Tony?
Welcome, Tony, back to sharing on Doves for Peace. So we're getting close to the end now. As you notice, I changed guitars. Why have I done that? Well, guitarists, when they love their guitars, they often have a number of them. And the reason why that is because there is what is called alternative tuning. And this is a song in alternative tuning. I'm going to sing you two songs because I have enough time to do that. The one I want to end up is a lullaby, but you might recognize this one, which is this is an evening of song and poetry is very, very important to Barbara and I, and poetry has been very important to me since I was a young man, really. And when I was living in Northern Ireland during the Troubles, I was sent some poetry by a young woman who became a pen friend, and she was a poet, and she would send me her poetry, and I would be awed by that. But she also introduced me to some singer-songwriters who were poets and singer-songwriters. That was Simon and Garfunkel. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie called The Graduate. I love that movie, and I always remember the soundtrack from that movie. And in that movie you see it's almost an opening scene, I think I'm right in this, where the hero, played by Dustin Hoffman, is driving in an open sports car across a bridge, and the song that's playing is this kind of song. So, Sorry, I have to do this because that's too high for me, so I didn't realize that. So what I'll do is I'll play it on the other one, but we'll finish with this song. Sorry, sometimes this happens. This is a lullaby, and it's by a woman, a Yorkshire girl called Kate Rusby, Rusby, and she is the most fantastic singer-songwriter. If you haven't heard her and you want somebody to listen to somebody who sings with soul, then I recommend you listen to Kate Rusby, Rusby. She's known as the Barnsley Nightingale. I think I'm doing Barnsley, but Barnsley is in Yorkshire, and this is a song. And she wrote this to commemorate a friend who died, who was obviously very close, and it was another one of those songs. When I sing it, sometimes people get very moved by it. So this is a song for you. It's an invitation to a lullaby. And it's an invitation to remember that during your life you might have friends, and sometimes they move on. It's lovely to remember that they were friends. Lay me down gently and lay me down low. I fear I am broken, won't mend and know. One thing I ask, the stars in the sky. Oh, now sing me lullaby. Oh, now sing me lullaby. This world's so lonely, and I am so small. The angels in heaven don't care for me at all. It heard my heart break, it rang through the sky. Oh, now sing me lullaby. Oh, now sing me lullaby. I lie here weeping, the stars start to come. I lie here not sleeping, the long night has begun. The man in the moon, he can't help but cry. Oh, now sing me lullabies. Oh, now sing me lullabies. Lay me down gently and lay me down low. I fear I am broken, no mend and know. One thing I ask, the stars in the sky. Oh, now will sing me lullaby. Oh, now will sing me lullaby. Who would sing me to sleep? Who would sing me to sleep? Who would sing me to sleep? Who would me to sleep? Who would sing me to sleep? And who now? And who now? And who now? And who now will sing me lullaby? And So that's a song by the wonderful Kate Rusby, a lass from Lancashire, not Lancashire, Yorkshire, and she's worth listening to. Lovely songs. So I'm going to say good night. That's a lullaby. So I hope you have a wonderful evening. And next time I come back, what I'll do is actually I will sing that Simon and Garfunkel song on the white guitar, which I know I can do because this is in a kind of a different tuning, and I thought when I got into singing it, it was just too high. So if there are any of yous who would like to suggest a song that you would like to hear and that I might well know it, and I'd love to sing it to you. So just let me know, or let Brother Sean know through chat or whatever it is, in whatever way you want to hear a song. So that would be wonderful. So let me say good night, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening wherever you are. Maybe it's not evening where you're listening to. It is here in Ireland, and I'm going to go and now reward myself with some tea and lots of chocolate biscuits, which I love. I absolutely love. I'm a cake eater. And so I'll leave you, and I hope to see you again, and have a wonderful evening, and thank you for listening.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.